Welcome to Uplift Education's Suicide Prevention Training Program. I'm Dr. Tony Walker, Senior Director of Student Support Services, and this short video will serve as your introductory training on suicide prevention, intervention, and procedures at Uplift Education. This training will take just about 10 minutes, but contains extremely important information that could well save the lives of our scholars. There will be a short quiz at the end, and thanks for your attention. Did you know that every school day at Uplift Education, there are approximately 2 or more scholars that are feeling suicidal, and that suicide is the second leading cause of death of children in the United States? That youth suicide and self-harm rates have more than doubled in the last decade, and studies suggest that LGBTQAI youth are up to 8.4 times more likely to commit suicide than their non-target group peers. On average, there are 121 suicides every single day somewhere in the United States. Nationwide, rates of teen suicidal thinking is on the increase. All districts in the DFW area are seeing similar trends, and Uplift Education is no exception. On this chart, you see the rate of suicidal ideations from last school year, 2019-20, as assessed by our clinical counseling team, mapped against the same data from the previous school year, the 2018-19 year. You'll notice in general that we saw a month-to-month rise in numbers, and in total last school year saw 315 total suicidal ideations. However, we feel confident that this number is significantly underestimated due to our closure in the March of 2020 and our switch to remote operations. Notice how our rate of assessed suicidal ideations plummets from March through the end of the year when we switched to remote. Note that counselors were still available to provide services to scholars during this time, and I think it speaks volumes to the importance of having eyes and ears on kids in person during a normal school day. We are fortunate to have an outstanding mental health services team who stand ready and able to step in when these situations arise and offer professional help. I'd like to take just a moment to talk through some of the common symptoms of suicidal thinking so that you know what to look for in your classrooms and around the school building. It's common for students who are feeling suicidal to begin talking about suicide or making statements such as, "I'm going to kill myself," "I wish I were dead," or "I wish I had never been born." It's also common to see scholars who are suicidal begin to try to acquire the means to take one's own life, such as obtaining a firearm or stockpiling pills. Withdrawing from social contact, wanting to be left alone, having mood swings, such as being emotionally high one day or deeply discouraged the next. It's also common to see suicidal students begin to become preoccupied with death, dying, or violence. This might include preoccupation with really violent video games, or feeling trapped or hopeless about a situation, including a breakup or a fight with a family member or friend. Frequently, when students are suicidal, we see an accompanying increase in risky behaviors. This might include the use of alcohol or drugs, changes to normal routine, including eating or sleeping patterns, giving away belongings or getting affairs in order when there's no other logical explanation for doing this, saying goodbye to friends, to family, to teachers as if they might never see those folks again, and developing serious personality changes or exhibiting extreme anxiety or agitation. It's important to note that warning signs aren't always clear. They may vary from person to person or situation to situation. While some suicidal people make their intentions clear, others keep their thoughts and feelings secret. It's critical that all Uplift personnel are familiar with the correct procedures to follow when and if they encounter a scholar who is suicidal. First, if a child makes a statement that they have had thoughts about hurting themselves, immediately notify the social behavioral counselor at your school. If the counselor is not available for any reason, notify campus administration immediately. Never leave a scholar alone without adult supervision who has made suicidal thoughts, and take all threats of suicide or self-harm seriously. If you observe a scholar trying to commit suicide or who is actively suicidal, immediately call 911 and then notify campus administration. Do report all third-party concerns. For example, it's common that a scholar will first share suicidal thoughts with a classmate. That classmate or friend may then approach their teacher and share their worry. It's really important to report that kind of information immediately to the social behavioral counselor. Sometimes suicidal scholars will drop hints of their depressed thoughts and feelings in writing assignments, poetry, art notes, or even by making jokes about killing themselves. These could be warning signs of suicide or self-harm, and it's critical that staff report this information to the social counselor also. Remember to treat all indications of suicidal ideation as your top priority. The big takeaway here is always report what you know. The best person on campus to report suspicions of suicidal ideation to, of course, is the social behavioral counselor, who are professional clinicians trained to deal with this type of situation. However, if they are off campus for some reason, you should immediately tell a member of the school leadership team. Tell someone who has the authority to take quick action, and no matter what, don't sit on this information. This is especially important as we consider the many added layers of stress caused by today's challenges. Our obligation and duty to report in times of virtual learning is every bit as important as if scholars were in front of us in person. That brings us to the end of this training. It's easy, right? Like I told you, look for the signs and symptoms of suicidal thinking and report it to the social behavioral counselor on your campus or a school leader immediately. As soon as you have a suspicion. This is the best way that together we can save lives. To complete this training, please submit the short quiz that follows. And again, thank you for the time and energy you've invested in today's annual compliance training. Enjoy the rest of your day.